hardly ever varies from that. And here we are on YouTube and on Rumble. How's everyone doing tonight? I can see comments from YouTube and some comments from Rumble over here. And topic tonight is going to be discussed in the first 30 minutes, and then we open it up to a Q&A. And you can ask anything you want, given the extra hour we provide, and then I can listen to you all instead of me just talking here. Then I can see what you guys are actually thinking. So that's the plan. Anyway, the topic is going to be just free form. I have kind of several ideas in mind, and I don't have anything like a narrow topic, because I'm reserving those for the bigger videos, the short videos. By the way, again, to remind people on Rumble, if you're on Rumble, often you're not going to see my regular videos. You only see the live stream, and you got to go to the channel. The regular videos are loaded up on Wednesday. It's always on Wednesday, so sometime, I don't know exactly when they load it, but sometime late on Wednesday, the videos show up on Rumble if you're not watching it on YouTube. YouTube, it shows up at 9 a.m. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to see the new video at 9 a.m. And strangely enough, the current video didn't draw the attention of a lot of people, but it's actually pretty important video. And in fact, it's a stretch of my technical skills to do that video, and yeah, there was not a lot of reaction to it, which is surprising, which is very, very surprising. The video, the comments are not showing up on the live stream here. I wonder why. I mean, I see the comments, but they're not passing to the live stream. So anyway, I want to introduce you to kind of a new term that I'm using to represent what I do here, because I need to like focus on a certain subsection of tech, and people misunderstand what I do, and then the haters who don't fall into this category that I support, that I focus on, are going to be the haters that hate and make comments and so on, and it's and they're not really the demographic. So what I've done is, if people like that ask a question and it's obviously just trying to get on my nerves, and rather than being a legitimate question, then I just don't respond anymore. I just ignore or I delete the comments on YouTube, because they're not my demographic. I'm not going to waste time. Like somebody was asking me, "Oh, please explain why you think you cannot turn off location on an iOS device. It's there in settings. You can see it in settings. Show me proof. Show me proof that you can't shut off location on the Zucking iPhone." Okay, I mean, I have 10 million videos. I mean, I talk about it like constantly. And the problem is, it doesn't matter what I say, there's always going to be a population. It's not about haters, Millix Nixon. It's not about haters. I'm just trying to like partition the community that I'm supporting here. And the fact of the matter is, if you're a normie, you're going to listen. It's kind of like political things, you take a side, then you listen to that side, and you ignore everything else. And it's a waste of effort to try to convince. And I just need to reach the people that think the same way, and people who are suspicious that something is going on, especially like on that Apple side, where I get a comment like that says, "Oh, show me proof that there's location." I mean, goodness, why do I need to give you proof? Does Apple give you proof? Does Apple give you proof? Does Google give you proof? And yet I have to give you proof. Oh, wow. Sounds like a truly fair fight here. Like, I have to find a proof for you for everything, even though I can show you the reality of what's happening, and it should be fairly obvious it's what's happening. In fact, they don't even deny it when you see Apple tech support comments. They don't deny it because they can't deny it because it's true. So so what I've learned is that that I'm gonna appeal to a certain market, and that market of viewers are the ones who are conscious that there's something going on, that there's something to be aware of, and you're not going to fall for the hype of the new phone, because it's new phone buying season here, and everybody's excited to I walk by Apple stores. I don't go in anymore. Back in the old days, oh wow, let's see what new tech there is. Let's see what new accessories I can put on my iPhone or my iPad and whatever. It's like, suck that. Okay, why did I change my style? And it's not because I'm anti-tech. I'm not an anti-tech guy. I mean, goodness, I have a lot of technology, but I make choices. I have a Tesla. Okay, some of you don't like Elon Musk, but I like my Tesla. Okay, but I have to test it. I've got to see what the self-driving is and see the AI, see how that works, see if it's spying on me, seeing all that. Okay, I'm testing all that, and if I see something suspicious and something dangerous, then I'll report it to you. So far, I've had a Tesla for a while now, and so far I've nothing. As you know, I haven't discussed much. There are some things I'm worried about, but it's not risen to the level of a Google and Amazon or Apple or a Microsoft. It hasn't, and it's basically because of their direction is not in that. Well, they're not focused on that. That's not what they want to do. So, which is good. So it's not that I'm anti-tech. So don't assume that I need to be a Luddite and I got to tell you all to go in the cave and do all that. That you shouldn't have phones. Like somebody rightly got concerned in one of my videos and said, you are telling people to go use the Google phone, but a phone is not safe. A phone cannot be safe because there's a baseband modem and this and that, and all the typical 2 CPUs. Actually, there are more than 2 CPUs in there. There are more than 2 CPUs in a phone, and that is a concern. That is a concern, on the phone. But the problem is we have to with reality of life here, and I'm not trying to convince the Edward Snowdens of the world to carry phones. I mean, they shouldn't be carrying. If you're an Edward Snowden, you really shouldn't be carrying a phone. I mean, it's not smart for Edward Snowden to be carrying a phone. Now, John McAfee, and I talked to John McAfee when he was alive. I interviewed him in the video. The video recording wasn't recording, so I didn't record. But the conversation I had with him included the question of the phone issue. Is he carrying a phone? And oh my gosh, the sound's still here, right? Okay, it's basically OBS crashing here. I wonder if there's a new version of OBS, but it's OBS crashing. So let me continue, and then I'll fix the video a little later. So I talked to McAfee, and he does have a phone. It just doesn't have a SIM card. So he does walk around he does use a phone, because I saw him. He's mostly on a computer, but he's using a phone without a SIM card. So he does do that. He uses the Wi-Fi and uses it that way. Yeah. If I turn off the video, you're going to lose me for a second. So I can do that and reboot OBS, and then I'll come back. But yeah, so if you can hold on a second here, I will do that. So okay, so the only thing that happens is I think it resets the chat. So I don't like to do that, because then the chat has to regenerate again. So should be okay, right? Let's see. Yeah, okay, so there we are. Sorry about that. I mean, it's not my fault, but it's OBS. I don't know, it's been failing. I changed the settings in OBS just today, just to lighten the load. The CPU is not even hardly moving here. The CPU is 1.2%. So it's just a bug in OBS. So anyway, whatever the bug is in OBS, I got to deal with it. Probably going to happen again. And all I have to do is restart OBS. That has nothing to do with the video feed and everything else. So anyway, he carries a phone that, well, I don't know if he carries it, but he uses a phone that did not have a SIM card. So showing that he can use the technology, and he himself is not a like me. He's not a Luddite. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm going to say Luddite. Somebody can correct me if you're from the UK and tell me how I'm supposed to pronounce that from the 1800s. So, yeah. So, it's not the rejection of technology per se that what I deal with. It's my concern is testing the technology and see if it rises to a level where I know they're doing something really bad. Now, some of you make a comment about cars, and you say cars are, ruining your privacy and so on, but it really is not even close to. Yeah, there's telemetry of some sort. It doesn't even come close to what happens in a phone. I mean, if it came close to a phone or a computer, I'd be up here telling you that, and I'd say, well, we'll stop driving cars. Let's go buy cars from the 70s. One of those manual, no electronic versions, so that we can survive an what is it? An what? EMT? See, I can't even think of. I can't think of the words. So yeah. I tell you to do things, and it doesn't have to be an absolute. There's always like gray areas, and I was trying to explain in one of the videos, which again nobody watched, because people like Crisis. I talk about encryption crisis, and everybody's there watching it. New subscribers, I got like 14,000 new subscribers in the last few weeks just from those new videos. And when I go into real detail, then the viewers disappear. So and I went to a video talking about how you'd make the balance in real life with let's say using a phone, because some of you are so absolute. You're going to say, well, I'm not going to use a Google phone because it's so inconvenient. It's just because I want to use my TikTok, and my TikTok works on the Google phone, by the way. Even Zuckbook works on the Google phone. Even Instagram works on it's not the safest thing for you, but it does work. So what doesn't work? Well, Google things don't work. And some of you are going to say, well, no, that can't be. I need Google Drive, I need Google Maps, I need Google this, Google that. And in which case, then I can't help you, because you got to make some sacrifices. There's no perfection in the world, but there's kind of a line you got to draw. Okay, but somebody said, well, I need it for school. School demands that I use, I interact with people in Google Docs. And so if I'm going to go to school, I can't use a computer. I got to use my phone. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. At some point, you make these you make this decision, and you justify something like that. And my answer is, maybe you're not in my demographic. Maybe you're not destined to agree with me, because you're coming up with these excuses, meaning you really want to be a normie. Well, if you want to be a normie, I'm not gonna, you're the majority. You're the majority. It's just that I probably can't teach you anything. I'll probably waste my time. You'll be like some of those people making comments and say, prove it about Apple. Apple's spying on you, spying on me. I don't believe it. Okay. I posted on Twitter how those people who stole the phones from the store in Philadelphia couldn't even use the phones because, of course, the phones were identified and they got them to stop working with Find My Phone. So, and people say, no, Find My Phone requires you log in with your Apple account. That's the only time that Find My Phone works. And that's wrong. I proved that wrong. I went to the Apple store and proved that wrong. Okay? The iPhone is constantly doing Find My Phone even when there's no user assigned to it. So that's where the location tracking is always there, and you do not turn that off with settings. That doesn't get turned off with settings because it's Find My Phone. That's a different thing. You'll find that you can go into settings, turn off location, and you don't realize what they're trying to tell you, that Find My Phone turns off location settings for third-party apps. Not for Apple, not for docking AirTags, not for docking Wi-Fi triangulation and Wi-Fi scanning. It doesn't do any of that. That's still collected. Apple claims that, agrees that that's true, that they cannot turn that off. I saw various support comments where they say, well, we can't turn that off. And then I'm lying. Okay, I got to prove it. Okay, let's not waste time. Okay, if you're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you, the technology, which is very specific, I'm not a beginner here. I'm telling you things that I've known for a very long time, and I've tracked these. I've tracked every change that has ever happened. And if I miss it, some of you will tell me and say, hey, they changed it again. Yeah, go check it out. Well, one of the things that I did a couple of years ago was, what was it? I made a observation of what likely Apple was going to do with something, and what was that? Some sort of tracking thing, and the mesh network, I think. Anyway, that I said Apple's going to do something like this. There's a new technology, is BLE, and they're going to do a mesh network. And I did a video. A month after the video came out, somebody said they actually announced it. They were going to do it. So the video was actually very accurate. And it just goes to show, because I'm watching the technology and seeing what features are being put on the phones. Then I see, oh, that's actually going to happen. And because, the way technology works, if somebody puts a feature in, some programmer somewhere in the Apple organization saying we want to put that feature in and use it, and I discussed it in the video, and there it was. And if you actually follow my channel and you know that I said that in advance of knowing it, and I have no inside information, I'm just analyzing the technology and telling you what will happen based on what the features are and what I expect they will do with it, then you're going to believe me more, because you see that you can consider me your intelligence analyst. That's what I do. I'm your big tech intelligence analyst. I am not the regular tech guy. I am not Linus Tech Tips. I'm not here to show you the brand new products and what's new in the new iPhone 15 Pro Max and the, Google Pixel 8 and whatever new thing is out there. That is not what I'm here to do. I'm here to say, is there anything in that technology that is moving towards a certain agenda that I know is going to be hard to back out from? And that's what I do, and that's what I always try to focus on. And if that's not what you think I'm doing here, then you certainly are welcome to watch Linus Tech Tips instead, because we shouldn't waste time, because I'm trying to teach you, and I'm finding that it's pretty hard to teach everyone. I had high hopes, many years ago when I started this, that I would appeal to a larger audience. And the problem is I can't possibly appeal to a larger audience. First of all, the social media platforms that I'm on will restrict how much I can grow, because of course it will damage them if I grow too big. For example, I couldn't possibly talk about this unsucking Zuckbook. It's impossible. Zuckbook Zuck used to have a spy on my broadcast. Every time I did a live stream, somebody from Zuckbook was there to counter any comment I made about Zuck. And I haven't made comments about Zuck lately because he's failing anyway. Okay? So Zuckbook is failing, which is good. It's about time. Because, you can't support evil. So if you're going to do evil, then you should fail. So yes, so I can tell you that the tendency is for Zuckbook to start failing. Now, not everything is failing with Zuckbook. Instagram is not failing, but Zuckbook itself, which is the true center of evil, because it's philosophically made to break privacy. That's what it's designed for, and hopefully, we don't expand that. And it's very distressing that some countries, 2 countries in particular, are so obsessed with Facebook. The 2 countries that I know obsessed with Facebook are the Philippines and Germany. In fact, Germany, they don't care about any other social media. They live their lives on Facebook. Same with the Philippines. I don't know what it is. It just appeals to them, and then their whole lives are on there, and they just can't take themselves away. And yet, this particular platform with Zuckbook is made to destroy your anonymity and your pseudo-anonymity and your privacy completely, because everything you're saying is attached to a real identity with crowdsourced, verified identity, location, thoughts, ideas. Everything is crowd verified. It's the most evil platform that I ever. I spent like 7 years talking almost entirely about Facebook on every broadcast because of the evil that I found, and I invented the term "what the Zuck," because zucking this, zucking that, and zuck you mother zucker, and all that those terms. What the Zuck is actually an Urban Dictionary attributed to me. So that's from just social media, because I kept saying it, and then people copied. Somebody wrote a book about Zuck. They actually copied me on that, but I came up with that. So yeah. So anyway, that's what we're going to focus on, and that's a realistic approach to life, and it doesn't have to be super extreme. It doesn't have to be Snowden style. There are certain things we can't hide from, and it's very hard to even go to the level of being a Snowden kind of whistleblower, subversive type person, versus alt tech, which is what I'm trying to represent here, is alt tech. Okay, not anti-tech, alt tech, alternate technology, alternative technology, alternative ideas on tech. That's what I'm going to be representing to you. And it's not that we're trying to eliminate tech, but we're making sure that it's tech that we control, not somebody else controlling us. So that's just a repurposing of that. And I'm bringing up this word alt tech. In fact, it's on my I put it on my channel description now on YouTube and on X, and I'm just kind of feeling if you're getting where I'm coming from on this, and because we still talk tech, we just are talking a different kind of tech. This is the anti-Linus Tech Tips kind of approach, or the anti-Marques Brownlee, and yeah, we're not talking about that kind of tech. So we're talking about tech we control, and that's the focus. So anyway, as you know, people are going to be buying phones, and they're going to be showing you their brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max. And then I see all these complaints about it breaking and defects. It's like, who cares? That that's so little of my interest. Is that that your iPhone 15 Pro Max is not perfect. Like, yeah, why do you even buy it? I mean, at the prices, 800. I don't even know what the price of a Pro Max is nowadays, but I remember buying a iPhone 10 for $1,200. It had more memory, more flash storage, and I paid $1,200, and it's like, what the zuck? I mean, you can get what, three Brax phones for that, or three of the Google phones that we carry. I mean, that is so extreme. For example, when we have Google phones, our Google phones many of them are only a few months old. They're from this year. Some of them are even brand new. So depends on where we get them. But they're from this year's model. Then the other ones are iPhone 5s, not iPhone, Pixel 5s, which is the prior year model. So these are not like old models. They're like a year old or even current model. And we don't have to be so obsessive that we got to get the latest model so that we can get spied on. Unfortunately, there is a limit. When you got to go de-Googled, you got to wait, and you got to learn how to have whoever's working on the OS to make it compatible with the AOS speed that we're trying to support on it. So there's always a delay. So yes, we are relegated to either not the topmost model, always a little less, but so what? Like, I like fancy cameras. My cameras are pretty high end. I use the ones I use on my videos is a what model I have, I forget, A7 something, Sony A7 whatever it is. I can't remember now what it is, but they're expensive. They're like a couple of grand just for the body. So they're expensive cameras, but that's okay tech. That's not dangerous tech, because it doesn't spy on me. It has fancy lens and fancy this and fancy that, and people are saying, well, I got an iPhone and it can take photos and can take videos, and I'm like, yeah, but it spies on me. And yeah, I know the typical response is, prove it. What do you mean it spies on you? Show me proof that it spies. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna lose my head with comments like that. It is so tiring. Let me tell you, it is so tiring to hear that, where somebody constantly makes comments like that, like, oh yeah, who's show me proof. I need proof that you're doing that. It's like, you know what? It doesn't matter that I give you proof. You're probably not gonna watch me anyway. So yeah, Pixel 8 Pro. Oh my gosh. So I already told you about, client-side scanning, and I told you even how they're going to do client-side scanning and how they could put it into the next version of the OS. So, and you're still going to say, well, I'm going to get that device. Love it. I like to be scanned. So it's a legit question. What is a legit question? Prove it. Elite eater. What is the legit question? So I already explained at the beginning that I got to recognize that who's actually paying attention, who's not, because otherwise it's a waste of energy. Yeah, elite eater. I do explain it. And some of them, it doesn't matter what my explanation is, even if it's in your face, they're not going to believe it. I mean, I went to the Apple Store and showed them that I was returning a phone, and they had me disable Find My Phone, even though they didn't touch the phone. You don't think that's technically a problem? Okay, I'll get back to that. Let me just take a station break for a sponsor, and then I'll continue that thought. Yes, my sponsor is Akamai Linode. Now, I told you in the last live stream that Akamai Linode actually expanded. They opened up offices. They opened up data centers and many more. They added, well, just top of my head, they added Seattle, Chicago data center. These are data centers they added. Seattle, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Paris, Milan, Stockholm, several in Asia. I think another one in Chennai in India. I mean, that's 7 that I remember just from the top of my head right now. So they added, they are expanding now. That is one of the changes that happened when Akamai bought Linode. So Akamai bought Linode, and that's one of the advantages of that. So they now have the capital to expand, and they have now expanded. And I immediately started using services in those areas since I have a VPN, and I got servers now in all those new locations. So I have a server in every Linode location that there is. So which is really good because it's really convenient because the price is so much lower. The price is so much lower to do your cloud services on Linode. So if you are interested in cloud services, you need to set up servers like I do, or maybe set up a website. And you're thinking, where do I go to set up a website? Where do I go to put up a server? Where do I put my server for my company for a reasonable price? And you're going to think of options like what they're trying to sell you, like Amazon AWS, GoDaddy, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and all these, and they're crap. They're so fucking expensive. They're expensive. I'm gonna tell you right now. I mean, I actually, I've tried them all. Bad support, expensive, complicated, and with so much small text in there that when you actually look at the bill, Amazon AWS is well known for that. You think you're paying X, but then when you actually get the bill, you're like shocked. It's like, what the zuck did I pay for? So, yeah, and then then they tie you to the network in such a way by having some features that you actually are forced to stay there for a long time. Oh, Microsoft Azure is extremely expensive. That's like super expensive. They tried to move me, so they tried to sell me on Microsoft Azure, and they said, we'll sponsor you, we'll do stuff, and it's like, come on, not worth it. So Linode, who's my sponsor, and glad to have them as a sponsor, and we have a continuing agreement to do so through next year. Okay, so back to my story. So I went to the Apple store. I was testing an M1 chip MacBook, was it? Or was it a iPad Pro? I was testing it, right? It probably was an iPad because I was specifically talking about Find My. Okay, it must have been that. So anyway, I returned it to the Apple Store in a box, in the original box. I had it for, I tested it for a few days, and then I wanted to return it. And they said, well, did you turn off Find My phone? So, if you understand technology, if you think that Find My phone is enabled on the hardware, then how do you think that would have been done? I mean, if you're not a techie, you're not going to use your head here, and you're not going to understand, and you're just going to believe whatever they tell you. But let me just tell you this. They never touched the device. They asked me to turn off Find My phone. They never touched the zucking device. They didn't turn off Find My Phone at the device. When you go and return something to them and you say, send this for repair, they're not going to touch the device to turn off Find My Phone. They said, please go to your iCloud account and turn off Find My Phone on your iCloud account. Now, some of you are not understanding the technical explanation that I just gave you there. What I'm trying to tell you is that they cannot stop the phone. They cannot stop the phone from sending the Find My Phone signal, which is broadcasting an identifier. So if you steal an iPhone from the store, they know where it is because it's still pinging Find My Phone. It doesn't have to be associated with a user. The reason that it goes into that you go to your iCloud to turn it off is to associate the identifier to your account. And they want to make sure that you disconnect your ownership of that identifier so they can assign that identifier to someone else. Otherwise, that's going to cause a little problem because then you have to find proof who actually owns this and all this stuff. That makes sense. Okay? But what is not apparent to most of these iPhone, iOS fanboys is that obviously for this to be working the way it is, the phone is transmitting location constantly, even without an owner and an identifier. And as you know, that same device is transmitting the identifier together with location, together with the packet of information of every AirTag in the area. And somebody said, well, but those AirTags, it says in Apple's tech support, that those AirTags are private because they have encrypted messages. That is correct. The AirTag itself doesn't have to send anything but an identifier. It doesn't have to send anything. That's all that AirTag does, sends an identifier. Okay? How do I know this? Because I know how technology works. That's Bluetooth. So the Bluetooth is sending just a continuous identifier. And the identifier then is captured by the phone. The identifier cannot be linked to an original owner because it's going to be encrypted and hashed, because encryption is built into BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy. I know that because I read the standard. So BLE is already encrypted. Okay. On top of the encryption of BLE, there's another layer. By the way, the encryption probably set by is probably symmetric encryption set by Apple at HQ. Okay. It's likely not asymmetric encryption. Likely it's symmetric, which means there's a key Apple has to undo it. And secondly, it's like I said, it's just an identifier, and it's also wrapped likely in some other code like a hash so that nobody can actually see what the identifier is. I got that, and that makes sense. I would do that. Well, why would you need to advertise what the identifiers of the AirTag? But nobody cares about the fucking AirTag. And this is what I'm telling people, that you don't understand about technology, because you're thinking about the feature and you're not understanding what the technology actually does. It is not that the AirTag identifier is being transmitted and it's exposed. That is not the concern. The concern is that the receiving iPhone, your iPhone that you think doesn't have Find My Phone active all the time, that's the one taking the AirTag message, packaging it with its location and its serial number, and sending that off to Apple. That means that phone, in case you don't know how BLE works, BLE is so accurate, directional. You can actually get locations to inches. Somebody was measuring, BLE distance. It can actually find almost like a tape measure. That's how exact the measurement is. It's probably within an inch. Okay, and that's because BLE not only transmits a signal, it actually transmits a signal with location. So a kind of a direction finder. So the receiver knows where it received the signal from, because that's part of the Bluetooth chip activity. It actually says, oh, the signal came from that direction, and it's within X number of feet. That is the feature built into the receiver of Bluetooth. So now you got the issue now of that location attached to your GPS or your Wi-Fi triangular location, sent to Apple together with the equivalent locations of every iPhone in the area. Then you can actually get a precise location of everyone's positioning in a room. Like who's right next to each other, who's talking to each other, is that accurate? So, and you're like saying, I can turn off I can turn off location and privacy settings in iOS. It's like, yes, you can turn off you can turn off location settings for third-party apps. Third-party apps. You cannot turn off, location for the iOS device itself to Apple. And Apple's answer is, well, we don't know who owns the phone. We just have, we just have the location and identifier. We don't try to match it to the phone. Yeah, right. Okay. How often do I hear that? We collect your medical data. We're gonna go research your medical data and find out who has certain diseases and so on. And we're gonna strip off the identifiers. Yeah, okay, you stripped off the identifiers, but the source data has the identifiers. So if you wanted to, you can go back to the source data and get the ducking identifiers. Okay. I mean, there's no restriction to it. All we're relying is somebody says, prove it. Here's an example where no one has to prove it and you believe it. But when I talk, somebody says, prove it. But when they talk, when some other company talks, they don't have to prove it because they're a big company. They don't have to prove it. But little old me here on YouTube and on Rumble, I got to go prove it. Yeah, right. Don't waste my time. Okay, I'll just tell you the facts. I'll just tell you the facts, and then you see if you believe me. If you do, then stay on here, and I'll tell you more facts. If you are not a believer, then you probably will. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what I say. It will always be the case. Have you ever looked at the board of directors for Apple? Gray Rabbit, have you ever looked at the founders, the initial seed money that started Google? Did you know that Google started from, what is that, intelligence group? It was started by basically a money from the intelligence community. And then the guy that did Google Earth, Google Street View, and started what is it? The Pokemon Go. Worked for the CIA. So yeah, it's just that's the reality of it. So yeah, so. What I've tried to show you is my background and how, I come to analyze these things. And if you are a techie, you will understand the depth of what I say, and then you can say that I'm not bullshitting you, and I don't need to prove anymore. No, it's not DARPA. It was, it's basically all of the agencies. They put in some money each, to initially fund Google. This was in the 1990s when Google first started. So what do you think about cryptocurrency? For whatever reason, YouTube is like kicking people out who talk about cryptocurrency. So I'm just not gonna talk about it, but just so you understand high art 69er that I actually had a weekly show on Periscope where I talked about crypto. In fact, if you go to Brax.me, there's a crypto discussion area, but because I don't talk about it anymore, nobody comes and talks about crypto anymore. But there, I'm just giving you a hint, but not gonna focus on it on YouTube. You know, we have to focus on people. Somebody actually left a comment on my channel and said, "Oh, let's all bet how long it will be before this channel is banned from YouTube." There's really no reason to ban me because there's nothing in the rules that say I can't say anything negative about Google. It's not in the rules. So because it's not in the rules, then they would, unless they suddenly came up with a rule. I mean, I guess they could do that. They could say, if you're gonna be anti-Google, then we're gonna take you out. Well, okay, but absent that, then they can't make that move. PGP has been dead for forever now. It's GPG. PGP is the proprietary version. The open source version is called GPG. Green plastic bag. GPG. I have a video now. Go watch that. When did I make that video? It's old now. It's probably over a year old. GPG. Okay, watch that video. What is there to talk about the BYOD service? Yes, I have we de-Google phones on the list that are supported. If you have a phone that is something supported either by Lineage OS or Calyx OS, we'll install the OS for you. It is difficult for somebody who doesn't know how to do it. It's difficult to do de-Googling if you're not a techie. And even if you're a techie, you may have other things to do, and you probably get paid enough money that you don't want to waste your time. You want to focus your activity on something else. Because it can take a while to understand what's going on with doing a de-Googling service. So we provide that service for you, and we charge $130 plus shipping to do it. Or you can buy our phones that are already pre-de-Googled for you. So the only rule is if you're going to send us a phone to de-Google, then you need to check for OEM unlock so that we don't waste time. Because if we can't unlock it, then we can't do it. And in fact, I have one here. Somebody sent what is this? Looks like a Pixel 3a XL maybe. Okay, so somebody sent one, and it is locked. So what am I going to do with this? I mean, it's locked. So only thing I can do is return it. You see what I'm talking about? Got to check. You got to go to Brax.me, look at the FAQ section, and follow the procedure for checking if you can OEM unlock it. And then we can do it. So if you ship it to us, typically, turnaround is a few days, depending on the load. But yeah, typically 3 days. But the problem is sometimes it doesn't get to us, or it arrives at the post office and they don't give it to us. Yes, of course, all de-Google phones get updates. It's just a normal OS. They run, whoever supports the OS. So whoever makes the OS, there's somebody supporting it. For example, if it's Lineage OS, the project team making that for that phone model is supporting it, and they probably update daily. So then you can set your phone to update as frequently as you want or as less frequently as you want. And then the updates stop. Okay, the updates are only going to go on while people are using the phone. If the developers of that phone move on to another project, then somebody might not be updating it. The one that has pretty good long-term support is Calyx OS. So I'm really liking that. I have a Calyx phone here, and it runs very well, and it even runs a Tesla app pretty well. So there's actually no limitations. I have location maps. They preload a map service, and it's very easy to use. So it's what I recommend. Has Joe Rogan reached out to me aside from talking about me on his show? No. Thank you, Channel 3. Thank you. About the ultrasound issue. The reason I'm not making too many videos about it is because the Commerce Department of Commerce. What is that? See, I don't know what the initials are. Because FCC is communications. What is commerce? Anyway, the Department of Commerce put a rule out that you can't use ultrasound in advertising, and that kind of stopped the use of ultrasound for kind of like surveillance capitalism, because it got banned by that department of the U.S. So the Commerce Department of Commerce. I just don't know what the three-letter. Too many three-letter agencies. Anyway, because of that, the only use of ultrasound is going to be in a kind of a spike capacity. So you can pass invisible messages with ultrasound. So if you want to send subliminal messages or something, you can do it ultrasound. Not FICA. FDC. Come on, it's easy to Google that or start page that. Anyway, is T-Mobile the best carrier to use? No, I don't think any carrier is any different from a privacy point of view than others. I may give recommendations of carriers because of how easy it is to deal with them, but no carrier is different. They're all subject to CALEA law, and they can all spy on you. So yeah, but U.S. Department of Commerce, what is the three-letter designation? FTC. Yeah, it's the FTC. Thank you. FTC. That's the one that banned the ultrasound, if I recall. That's. I got to do a lot of reading to keep up with this to tell you all this information. I got to be like an encyclopedia, and yeah. So FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, banned the use of ultrasound for any kind of advertising or any purpose like that. For that reason, that's kind of been minimized. It was very big like 5 years ago, and they were starting to use it a lot because if they can pass subliminal messages on TV, they can actually find out where you're watching TV because they just send the ultrasound through the TV show. Okay, but nowadays that can be used to trigger location tracking. If you're looking for somebody that, let's say you're looking for some terrorist and you don't know where the terrorist is, and what you do is you broadcast an ultrasound in the area that you're looking for, and then if that ultrasound is captured by electronic sensors like a typical microphone, because it can be captured by the phone microphone, and you have software that can capture that range of frequencies on any recording, and you can say, we found him. For example, somebody could be putting a beacon in all of New York with an ultrasound in various, telephone poles and underground, whatever, beeping the name NYC and then with some designation numeric, and that's being broadcast in ultrasound in digital form, and you happen to be talking on the phone, well, the phone will hear that. You can't hear it, but the phone will hear it, and it can be captured, and they say, he's in the subway station for the, the number 2 line. Okay, so that's how the ultrasound works, and you can't hear it, so you don't know it's happening. Now, can you find out? Pretty easy, actually. All you do is you turn on your phone, record the environment, pass it through the right audio software like Odysee, and then capture that frequency and see if you can sense any traffic in that area. And if you do, then somebody is using ultrasound on you. Okay, so it's a very specific threat like that. The other reason, the other way to utilize that threat is to communicate in secret, because you could be talking normally to somebody on the phone, but the actual message is being passed in ultrasound. The problem is if somebody intercepts the audio, then they can also hear it. It has to be in code. Okay, so let's say you're talking to somebody in the Middle East, and you want to be on the down low because you're doing something terroristic, and and you want to pass certain messages, and you use ultrasound. Well, that's the way to do it, which can be end-to-end encrypted. If they beat end-to-end encryption, there's still a way. That's one of the ways. So you just have a ultrasound generator, and then the other party just has to play back the sound and can capture the ultrasound, put it in a machine to take the digital data out of that and translate. So this is not new technology. They've already done this. Right, I talk about a lot of stuff here. I'm just, my knowledge base is pretty big, and a lot of people challenge me, but they don't have the knowledge because I've been doing this for a very long time. Yeah, of course the governments already have quantum computers. I'll tell you a little story. So one of the ways that they were breaking encryption was using D-Wave. D-Wave is a quantum computer-like device. It's in Canada. And it's one of the first computers that behave like a quantum computer. People in IBM claim it's not a quantum computer, and because it doesn't follow whatever rules they have for defining what quantum computers are. But that is immaterial because it behaves like a quantum computer, therefore it is a quantum computer if you can take data in and out of it. So the D-Wave, and you can research D-Wave, started advertising 5 years ago or something like that, about they came up with I forget what their bit level is now. It's was it like at the time they were already at 1,000 bits, I think, of capability, and that's pretty significant. That's you can mash a lot of numbers in instantly with that size. Anyway, the first D-Wave computers were sold. Google got one. Some university got one. I forget which university. And then the No Such Agency got 6. The No Such Agency got 6 D-Waves. Why are they getting 6 D-Waves? Okay. Now, here's the thing. So, where did I find out that they got 6 D-Waves? Well, it was in a press release, probably by D-Wave. It was in a press release. My goodness, A couple of months later, I could never find that press release. They took it out of the fucking internet. So the fact that they at the time purchased 6, maybe they purchased 100 now, I have no idea, but they purchased 6 D-Waves and it disappeared from the fucking internet. I spent all my time searching for that, and it was gone. So that should raise your suspicions that they found some good use for that. Okay, so that should, you should operate like an intelligence analyst. You look for clues. That's a clue. Okay? That's a clue. They're not going to take that out unless there's a reason to take it out. And the reason must be that they found it to be useful. If it's useless, they're going to talk about it. Well, unfortunately for them, I announced that thing. I may have even showed the article. I don't remember now. I may have even showed the article that announced it in a live stream on Periscope. And so I announced it and I talked about it. And then 2 months later, I did the same live stream discussing it because I was talking about quantum computers that day and millions, of course. Of course, each one cost many, many millions. And then it disappeared. So there you go. So, and then people say, prove it. You were getting with the prove it because they took it out. The proof was in the live stream because I talked about it as I was reading it in the live stream, and then the press release disappeared. So I suppose if you go to D-Wave, then of course they know that information, but they didn't want to let you know. So yeah, they didn't want to let you know that they did that. So just an FYI. He is not reading the chat here, only on YouTube. Well, I'm not really I'm not really reading it that often on Rumble because it's not moving very fast. So I just glance. If there's anything that's addressed to me, then I'll switch back and forth. Okay, so that's Copperhead. Copperhead, you're not affiliated with Copperhead OS, are you? Just wondering. Do you have recommended Faraday bags? Yes, I did in some video. Yeah, I posted in a link somewhere. I tested and it works good because the thing is it has a so all the correct Faraday bags have copper lining, right? It's got to be copper fabric, so that's a key, copper fabric. But then the bag has to fold over with the copper folding with it. Then you have a complete seal instead of, just for example, if you don't have that excess copper to fold over, then the signal might leak. So yeah, so I tested it and it seems pretty functional. So now that's where my iPhone. I have an old iPhone. Well, iPhone 10. I have an iPhone 10. And I don't use it. It sits in a Faraday bag. Now, why does it sit in a Faraday bag? We already know Faraday bags are needed for iPhones because they turn into a sucking AirTag. Because that guy said, location, didn't track location, prove it. Well, turn the sucker off. It turns into a sucking AirTag. Another one of these, it's like waste of energy to react to. Just an example. I mean, there's only so much I can tell you in a moment. I mean, you got to trust me at some point. Once you follow this channel and know that I tell you so much detail. I tell you so much detail that after a while you're going to say, okay, he knows what he's talking about, so I'll just listen and not come up with these comments like prove it nonsense because I'm going to prove it 10 times over, but I'm not going to do it at your convenience. I'm just going to do it as a normal course of how I'm communicating. So copper. It's copper fabric. Now, if you want to use an oily Doritos bag, I'm sure that can work too, as long as you fold it over. Okay? So that's the problem with the Doritos bag, is the oil. You have to clean it. But, mine comes with a case. I mean, putting your stuff in cheap, Doritos bags is, you might punch a hole in it. It's not strong enough. A copper fabric is pretty strong. So it's not going to just open up on you like a Doritos bag will. Okay, so if you're going to use it for short term, I guess it's not an issue. You know what Snowden used to be his Faraday bag? A microwave. That was on the movie. So he put all the phones of the press people and put it in a microwave. Just don't turn it on or you blow it up. So yeah. You just like copperhead snakes. You never heard of Copperhead OS? Well, Copperhead OS was apparently stolen by the guy that used to work for Copperhead OS and came up with that other OS with all the weirdos in it. Okay, it starts with G. So all the weirdos in there, all the hackers, they all hack me. That's their main activity, is to hack me. You want to hang out with that group? Go hang out with them. Louis Rossmann, for a moment, got excited by that group, and he finally found out how that community is. I've seen Naomi Brockwell talk about that OS, like, ooh, thank you, OS. You saved my life because you did excellent. Because she doesn't have an experience, okay, with that. So yeah, you don't want that, okay? The community I like. Brax OS obviously is for Brax phones. EOS is good. Calyx OS is my outside of my own OS. Calyx OS is very, very usable for me. I like it. So I recommend Calyx OS. Lineage OS has some deficiencies in certain areas, and it's also very, very usable, just like Calyx. So Lineage is very usable. Calyx is more practical and usable. So for that, I recommend Calyx OS a lot. So, and I'm using it now. I don't have a phone anymore because I had I was testing a Brax 3, but I couldn't get a signal, a good signal here. So I had to set it aside until they figure out what the solution to that is. Obviously, a new phone. They have to change the configuration of the modem. And in the meantime, I'm using a Calyx OS phone, Pixel. So I change phones all the time. So, when a Brax 3 comes out, then I'll switch to that again, and on and on and on. So I've always switching phones. It's actually not a bad idea. So I appear with many, many IMEIs. Okay. What's his name now? Who are you talking about? Oh, okay. What flavor of Doritos bag is best? The one that's the least oily so you can easily clean it. Yeah, so, I mean, come on. Faraday bags are cheap. They're made in China. They're all made in China. If you know how to sew. I learned how to sew. And you wouldn't believe this, but I did learn. And the reason is, as a sailor, I need to sew many things on a sailboat. And, so finally I said, okay, time to learn how to do this. So, because I ripped something, it's called a sail pack. And it would have been so difficult to get somebody, to sew it for me. And I'd have to wait, you have to fall in line around here and wait, and they charge you $1,000 to do a little bit of sewing. So I said, Zuck that. So I learned how to sew. So I actually sewed many things on my boat. I sewed pillows, throw pillows, and things to hold my lines, and bags and things like that. I'm not good enough to. I actually sewed a upholstery fabric to test to see if I could do that. I made a mistake, but it was successful. I have to redo it again, but I was able to do it, and that's upholstery. So yeah, so I learned how to do sewing. So if you can do sewing, you can actually sew. Just get the copper fabric yourself. You can buy copper fabric from Amazon, and you can make it yourself. Oh yes, Mysticulous reminds you. Okay, I'm trying to build a community. So all of you, I have a backup here. So all of you, please consider joining up on robbraxman.locals.com. It's free. You can donate on there, but it's not required. It's a community, and I'm beginning to use it. I'm beginning to post on there, and I'm thinking about maybe hosting Q&A sessions over there, so that you can maybe utilize that if you're a donor, if you donate to the community. Maybe like a weekly QA over there for that kind of group. So anyway, that's my thoughts. If you and also I do announcements and other things over there, things that I can't talk about here on YouTube and other places. Locals is owned by Rumble, by the way, but it's not really connected. So what's the question about my coding in C++? Actually, I wouldn't call myself doing a lot of coding in C++. I actually did a lot of coding in C. So, C++ is written in C. So I go even lower, in computer terms, lower means closer to the machine. So the lowest you can go to the machine is called assembly language. The closest thing to assembly language is C. So I've done assembly language, but mostly I've done C. So I'm long time. Just to tell you the kind of projects I did in C. I mean, I'm pretty amazed at some of the stuff I did that actually worked. I did. This was before the. This was before even a lot of stuff that's done now on the internet wasn't in existence back then. So I built a system, for example, that allowed distributed computing, client server, but not client server. It's I created my own communications between client devices over the internet to a server, custom, not a web server. It's basically, I wrote my own web server, if you want to think of it like that, but it's not a web server because it was encrypted. So I made clients, any number of clients could communicate to the server from the system that I did, and it was written in C, and it's still running today. So, it's, I'm sure many hospitals and medical offices still use it, and it's used to communicate over the internet with kind of a client-server architecture with a custom communications protocol that I made, encrypted, and it went through the internet before web servers and before any of that were being used. At the time there was no such thing as PHP or any of that, so I wrote it all in C. And I also wrote things like email clients, email servers. Goodness, I mean, anything to do with passing data over the internet. I'm sure I did something on it with C. So if you have that knowledge, then obviously you can write web servers and you can write anything. So you can write email clients. I did all of that. So yeah, so and that's just the communication structure. Obviously, I had to build enterprise systems with databases and user interfaces and so on. So it's some massive stuff that I've done there. So that's where I get my knowledge. I did it. I mean, I don't just talk about it, I just did it. Do I do much in Python? When I program now, I probably would use Python because it's the simplest. It's if I need to do something, I actually did. I did a project. I built a Raspberry Pi camera system, for example, and I was using Python, and I was trying to do certain things that you can't do in Python, and which was to control the GPIO pins, and solution was to write it in C. So I then linked the C code to Python. So Python is easier to do for most things, but if I needed to, then I can write it in C. Just so you know that it's if you can write everything is everything can be done in C. Linux is in C, Android is in C. I can look at the source code. Obviously, I can understand that because I'm a C programmer. So people say, well, can you read the source code? How do you know there's no spyware on Android? Well, I can look at the source code. It's in fucking C. Okay? It doesn't scare me to look at C. I look at it and like, okay, that's what they're doing. Then I can see if they're trying to screw you. I can tell if they're trying to screw you because, that's what I did. It's C programming. Okay, C programming is pretty hard. Not for me, but it's for a beginner. C programming is very hard. Ever buy anything? What does that mean? What is the best secure, private, user-friendly phone OS? I was just telling you about that. So obviously you need to use AOSP, Android Open Source Project, and one of the recommended ones for Pixel phones is Calyx. For non-Pixel phones, if it's available, you use Lineage OS. If it's available. I would just stick to those two. Lineage OS or Calyx OS, unless it's a Brax phone that is Brax OS. So, okay, so yeah, the point is just about every operating system is written in C. So, including Linux, including, the Linux kernel, everything is in C, and, that doesn't scare me. That's no big deal. So you look at it and you can see how simple things are actually when you see it in C. Okay? And because of that, people are like saying, well, what do you know? You don't know anything. It's like, suck. Okay? I've been programming probably before you were born. Okay? So I hate to show my age, but the thing is I've been programming for a very, very long time. Pretty much shortly after C was invented. Well, that's not true. Pretty much after the book Kernighan and Ritchie, that's the textbook for using C. That was available. When that was available, then I learned C. So I know when that became available. I'm not going to tell you the year, but at least available to me. It could have been available earlier than that, but that book, the Kernighan and Ritchie book, was the textbook for using C. And guess what? There were no instructions for people who had to learn it. You had to go figure it out on your fucking own. There was there was nobody to say, oh, can I look at some forum somewhere? Gonna go to, is there some Stack Exchange or some other thing that programmers do now, so when they want to, learn how to do something, or somebody can help them. Nobody would help me. There was nobody. You had to go figure it out by trial and error. That's why I'm so good at programming, because nobody ever helped me. There was nobody to go to help. Okay, so if it's not running, there was a bug, you got to go figure it out on your own. and the only thing you know was that there's the rules for C as as explained by Kernighan and Ritchie, and that's it. That's all you know. Do your phones work on T-Mobile? Yes, all Pixels work on all carriers. Brax phones only work on non-Verizon. They work on everything, but not as long as they're not Verizon. Pixels work on everyone, including Verizon. So if you're gonna go for Verizon, don't wait for any new phone model. Just get a Pixel. Our Pixel models are priced very well, and they're very nice. A Pixel 5 is actually much more advanced, even though it's from last year's model. It's actually it was the flagship of the prior year. So the Pixel 5 was the flagship. That would be the Pixel 8, 2 years later now, this coming, because the Pixel 8 is the flagship for, you could say, for next year. So the Pixel 5 was the flagship, and it's actually better than the Pixel 6a. Anything with an A is not necessarily the top grade phone. But they're usually the fastest CPU, good cameras, but they don't have things like wireless charging, things like that, and the case typically is not as strong as the one for the flagship models. So the current flagship model is the Pixel 7, which I don't sell. I don't stock it. We can Google for you, but we don't stock it. The Pixel 5 was the one from the prior year. So I'm using a Pixel 5 right now, and I really like it. It's a smaller phone, so it's smaller than a Brax phone. Okay, they had program it, the title, main menu screen. I have an old Pixel. I'm really pleased. What's your take on the argument? What? You mean augmented reality and mixed reality? Is that what you meant by that? When will the Pixel 6 come back? We have Pixel 6 in stock. I don't know. We have Pixel 6 in stock. Is that why people are not buying? Because it's not in stock? It's in stock. I better check the store. Yeah, we still have Pixel 6. We still have Pixel 6, Pixel 5. Pixel 6a should be arriving. We still have one Pixel 6a and stock coming tomorrow. Yeah, we should have many Pixel 6a's coming tomorrow. So we cannot de-Google anything from Samsung. I've tried. Okay, so if a Pixel 6 is not in the store today, I will make sure after I exit the broadcast that I make sure it's listed there with stock, because there is stock. We do have Pixel 6s. The one that I'm missing is a 6a, but it'll arrive tomorrow. I don't have any 4As. So I don't know. Be careful. Be careful. Well, you don't have to be careful, but just so you know, some phone models are actually just Brax phones. So some other people are reselling the phones with different label, and they're Brax phones. To be frank with you, the EOS phones are Brax phones. Okay, they just put EOS on it, but it's Brax phone. They just did a Kickstarter for Brax for the next EOS phone. This EOS is an EU, and it's a Brax 3 phone. Okay, so you don't have to worry about any of that. You can just get it from me if you want me to supply with your phone. You're not going to miss anything. You're not going to miss out on anything because it's the same phone. So yes, so we if you want to buy from EOS, happy to support them. You can certainly buy from EOS. If you're if you're in Europe, that's certainly advantageous. There may be pricing differences. I may be priced lower because maybe I do more volume. But yeah, if anyone wants to sell our products, that's fine with us. It's not. That's fine with us. If Calix wants to support a Brax 3 phone, if any OS wants to support any of that, any of our phone models, that would be good. It's not. I don't consider competition. Obviously, I don't make money when I do that, but I'm happy to have the community, work together here. Because if there's enough of us with volume, we can demand features on the phone. Like some of you want certain features on it, and we can't demand that unless we have volume, and we're not buying enough phones to cause a ripple in the marketplace. F-Droid is saying there are security issues with EOS. Be careful with that. Be careful with statements like that. EOS is obviously AOSP. So, be careful with statements like that because they're often inaccurate, out of context. Especially if you use that. Like if you go to Aurora store and there's, they say trackers. And if you knew who the guy was that wrote that, which is the same guy that made that OS with a bunch of weirdos, it's like stupid. It doesn't. It's not accurate at all. It doesn't. It's just giving you fear for no reason. Because obviously everything has a tracker. So this is funny. So somebody said we don't want to use a Brax. We don't want to use a Brax Me app. Well, it's a dangerous app because it has microphone permissions and file permissions and photo permissions. This is a dangerous app. We're not going to use this. Okay, and as trackers, it connects to Google because it has notifications. Okay. Signal has notifications. Signal has to be tracked by Google because it has notifications. Okay, so you don't have to use the notification. Just turn the Zucker off if you don't want. Nobody forces you to use. I actually have a version that doesn't have notifications if you use the one on the BraxMe site itself. But as far as permissions there's a file storage area on there. So obviously you need file access to store the files. There's a photo. It's called My Photos and My Files. If you have My Files, and you want to store video, then you have to have voice in order to store the video. If you want to store the photos, you got to give permissions for that. If you don't want to grant those permissions, then don't grant it. But don't go blaming and saying, this app is dangerous because it's doing that. But that is a feature of the Zucking app. Okay, I made the app to have My Photos and My Files so you can store your own files and your own photos in an encrypted way. And that I did that obviously on purpose. You don't have to use it. Turn off the permissions and you don't have to worry about it. But don't expect to be able to upload a picture to a discussion if you don't give access to files. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that just super stupid panic stuff that doesn't really relate to reality. So, yeah. Brax OS. Actually, it's not Brax OS itself that does the IMEI change. It's the Brax phone. So we give you the ability to change the IMEI on Brax phones. So it doesn't matter what the OS is. You'll be able to change IMEI on a Brax phone. Okay? So anyway, wow, who knew that I could talk about so much nonstop in so little time? What radios are good? How to operate those units? Basics. I actually have videos on ham radio. You should check those out. Okay, thank you for watching, guys. We're out of time, and I can't believe that I've been talking nonstop here without even any kind of script. So anyway, thanks for watching, my friends, and I'll see you next week.